Hey everyone, my name is Jennifer Terri. I make Philippine travel update. Now in this video, we'll talk about the complete and most updated entry guidelines for former Filipinos, foreign spouse, and children of Filipinos traveling with them. Now the great news has been that the Philippines has eased the entry restrictions. Whether vaccinated or not, there is no more quarantine, and vaccinated foreign nationals may enter the country. No, I know unvaccinated Balikbayans really waited for the quarantine to be lifted. Now, no need to wait because wala na talagang quarantine. Now in this video, we'll talk about your immigration requirements and the pre-departure checklist. This will be very simple, guys. And the information I'm sharing to you, they're all coming from government sites. I'll put the link for the source of information in the description box. Let's start with flights. So whether you've already booked your flight or not yet, the best time to book is always around 2 to 3 months before your flight, or if you're traveling peak season, it's 5 months before. Well, Christmas in the Philippines is peak season. A lot of people want to get away from winter and go to the Philippines and enjoy the tropical weather. Well, December is a very busy season in the Philippines. Now, if you don't mind having a stopover in other countries, you may get your plane tickets cheaper compared to a direct flight. But as a general rule for our kababayans, I always advise you to book direct with the airlines. With all that's happened for the past 2 years, or flight cancellations or reschedules, it's always been easier to deal directly with the airline. So it's easier to resolve if there's any issues. Fingers crossed, you don't have to encounter those issues. Now let's go ahead with immigration or visa. First thing you need to do when it comes to immigration is, even just before you book a ticket for an international flight, please go check the validity of your passport. According to the immigration, foreign visitors must have passport that is valid for at least 6 months at the time of entry. It is a general rule. Passport should be at least or more than 6 months valid when you travel to another country. And since you're covered by Balikbayan privilege, you don't need a visa, you don't need insurance, and you don't need an onward or return ticket. Why is that so? Thanks to Balikbayan privilege. Former Filipinos who have been naturalized as citizens abroad, this Balikbayan program gives you 1 year visa-free entry and stay in the Philippines. Now, this Balikbayan program is extended to your spouse and children traveling with you. Second, you don't need insurance. Before, as early as around February, March, April 2022, earlier when the Philippines reopened again, they were requiring insurance for non-Filipino citizens, including former Filipinos. But thank goodness that's no longer a thing. That has been lifted. You are not required to have an insurance when you travel to the Philippines. It's not a requirement, but it is highly recommended. Next thing is, you don't need a return ticket. This is actually even before pre-pandemic times. It is stated in the latest immigration advisory. Foreign visitors need return or onward ticket, except former Filipinos and their families, spouse and children traveling with them. As long as you're covered by Balikbayan privilege, you are not required to have an onward or return ticket. It makes sense. You can stay here for 1 year. Now, as to avail for the Balikbayan privilege, you are advised to bring either your old Filipino passport or a Philippine birth certificate. Either of these two, it's just a proof that you are a former Filipino. While for your spouse who is traveling with you, a marriage certificate, and for your child or children, a birth certificate. When you arrive in the country, you just politely tell the immigration officer as you hand out your passport, Balikbayan, and they know what you're talking about. They know that you want to avail the 1 year visa-free entry and stay. They may ask about, you want to avail Balikbayan, where is your old Filipino passport? Give it to them. Now, there are cases when a Filipino does not bring old Filipino passport or birth certificate. What can you say? Some say, you can show the old Balikbayan stamps from your passport. If you have previous Balikbayan stamp, you could show that. Or you could say, look, I'm born in the Philippines, talking Filipino. Just try. But if you don't have the proof, and if the immigration officer says no, Don't make a scene and just accept it. That's why it's always best to bring the proof para sure that you can avail. Moving forward, question. Can a spouse or a child of a Balikbayan or former Filipino or Filipino avail this Balikbayan privilege when traveling to the Philippines alone? The answer is no. A foreign national spouse or child of a Filipino may only be given the said privilege if he or she is traveling with his or her Balikbayan spouse or parent. For your foreign spouse and children, if they're traveling alone without the former Filipino or the Filipino, they will be not treated as a regular foreign tourist. Normally, they'll be given a 30-day stay here in the country. And that can be extended. Now, fiancés, parents, grandparents, grandchildren, and in-laws are not eligible for Balikbayan privilege. Some people ask, look, I'm a foreigner, I have a Filipino child, we're traveling together to the Philippines, can I avail Balikbayan privilege? No, it's not extended to parents, just the spouse and the child. Now that's about immigration. Let's talk about travel protocols relating to COVID. Don't worry, this will be very simple. Great news is that since November 4, the Philippines has made it very easy for fully vaccinated travelers to enter the country. If you're fully vaccinated, guys, you don't need to get tested. Pre-departure testing for fully vaccinated inbound travelers, whether Filipino or foreign national, shall no longer be required. That was ever since November 4. Now, to be considered fully vaccinated, you only need to make sure that you have received the second dose in a 2-series vaccine or a single dose vaccine more than 14 days before you arrive in the country. So whether you were vaccinated in 2020, 2021, or earlier this year, it's totally valid. There's no expiration here. As long as it is more than 14 days. For those asking, Jennifer, I only have 1 shot of J&J. Am I considered fully vaccinated? Yes, you are. 1 shot of J&J, considered ka ng fully vaccinated. Another thing, of course, you need to bring your vaccination proof. And don't worry about this. For those have in mind, is the CDC white card accepted? Yes. Any government-issued vaccination proof is accepted in the Philippines. That can either be printed or digital on your phone. So printed or digital, they're both accepted. What if my vaccination proof is not in English, Jennifer? I was vaccinated in Japan or in South Korea. As long as it has your complete name, the name of the vaccine, the date where you got inoculated, the first dose and second dose, that's important. How about booster, Jennifer? Do we need booster na? Booster is irrelevant na. As long as you have the 2 shots, then you're considered fully vaccinated. Whether fully vaccinated or not, e-arrival card, don't forget that. That is the health declaration form by the Philippine government. So all arriving passengers in the country coming from abroad need to register to e-arrival card. You may have heard it from the news, e-arrival card is no longer mandatory. It's no longer mandatory for boarding, but you still have to register. The only thing that's changed is that you are given the option to do it in your country of origin or upon arrival here in the Philippines. Now, a strong advice. Do it before you arrive in the country. You don't want to queue upon arrival, right? You don't want to go through long lines at the airport. You want to arrive here and go. So if you want to do that, if you want a quick process at the airport, register to e-arrival card before you arrive in the country. Plus, there are still airlines that ask for e-arrival card upon check-in. So I strongly encourage you guys register. To register, go to onehealthpass.com.ph. I made a tutorial guide on how to register. I'll put the link in the comment section. I made one for former Filipinos. You could register to e-arrival card within 3 days before your trip. Actually, even more than 3 days, you can register. I know some kababayans registered in a month before their flight, although we're not sure whether their registration will be accepted. So let's just follow the instruction, huh? Let's go by the book. They said within 3 days, so let's register within 3 days. Since you're fully vaccinated, now you will get a QR code. This gives you quick process at the airport, scan and go system. Upon arrival, they will scan your QR code and no need to interview. And they won't ask to verify your papers as long as you have a QR code. Okay, moving forward, for the unvaccinated Filipinos, former Filipinos, or foreign nationals, Balikbayans, what is the protocol? If you are unvaccinated, partially vaccinated, or if you don't have a vaccination proof at all, this is your protocol. Filipinos and foreign nationals 15 years of age or older who are unvaccinated or partially vaccinated, you must present a pre-departure test. This test is a rapid antigen test result. It can be remotely supervised or laboratory based. It can be administered and certified by a healthcare professional. It should be taken within 24 hours before your flight. So the basis of the 24 hours is the time of departure, not time of arrival. Time of arrival has nothing to do with it. Some travelers are confused. How can I show a negative rapid antigen test result taken within 24 hours when my flight is more than 24 hours, more than 30 hours? Because those people are confused because they're thinking about arrival time. Forget about arrival time. Departure time is the basis of the test. And a layover in another country is not counted as long as you stay inside the airport of that country during layover. Okay, so for example, I have a layover in, let's say, Korea. I stay inside a Korean airport. My antigen test is still going to be valid. But however, in case I decided I want to go out Korea and tour, then your negative test result from your origin country won't be valid. No, the basis will change into Korea if you leave Korean airport. Hope that makes sense. Now, in case where, Jennifer, it's too hassle to get tested here abroad, or I can't find testing labs, it's okay. You can do the test upon arrival in the Philippines at the airport. It will cost you 600 to 1,000 pesos according to Bureau of Quarantine. However, if you're landing in Cebu, it can be free. It will be free in Cebu. What about children, Jennifer, who are unvaccinated? Do they need to get tested as well? So it depends. Children who are below 15 years old, who are accompanied by fully vaccinated adults or guardians, they don't need to get tested because they will only follow the quarantine protocols of their parent or guardians. However, if let's say a child who is below 15 years old travels with an unvaccinated parent or guardian, then the child and the parent or guardian who are all unvaccinated will need to get tested. Although I have a warning to those who are planning on getting the test upon arrival, the risk is that if you test positive, you will be sent to quarantine. You're lucky if they allow you to do home quarantine. But if let's say your final destination is in Visayas or in Mindanao, it can be risky. You're probably going to be sent to quarantine in Manila, where your first port of entry is. It's stated in the IATF resolution, any inbound traveler, whether Filipino or foreign national, who shall test positive for the rapid antigen test upon arrival, shall be subjected to the latest prevailing quarantine and isolation protocols of the DOH. Unvaccinated travelers will also need to register to e-arrival card and will be issued a barcode. This barcode means that you will go through manual verification. They will check the validity of your test result. So that is really about it. That's very detailed, guys. Now let's do your pre-departure checklist so as not to confuse you. If you're fully vaccinated, make sure that your passport is at least 6 months valid. No, 6 months or more than 6 months valid. Your vaccination card or certificate. Your e-arrival QR code. If you're a former Filipino, your old Philippine passport or birth certificate. Spouse marriage certificate. For the child, a birth certificate. That's your pre-departure checklist. While for the unvaccinated traveler, this is your checklist. Passport should be more than 6 months valid or at least 6 months valid. Next is your e-arrival barcode. Your negative test result. If you don't have it, you can do it upon arrival. A reminder, a negative antigen test result taken within 24 hours before departure. How about an RT-PCR test, Jennifer? Now, the Philippines is no longer using RT-PCR test for the pre-departure testing requirement. So please, only rapid antigen test, not PCR. Next is, as usual, for immigration, for you to avail the Balikbayan privilege, old Filipino passport or birth certificate, and then marriage certificate for the spouse, and child birth certificate. That is really it, about arrival in the Philippines or entry. Once you arrive in the country, you will be greeted by the Bureau of Quarantine officer. You already know the thermal scanner at the airport. It's been there. They will check whoever has symptoms for COVID. Make sure you have no fever when you travel, guys. And then the first thing that they will ask is your e-arrival card registration, whether that's a QR code or a barcode. They will scan that. Next is immigration. You tell the immigration you want to avail Balikbayan. You just say Balikbayan, and they know what you're talking about. And then pick up luggage. Customs paper forms are available at the airport. And lastly is family. Your family can pick you up at the airport. You can avail taxis, Grab. There's plenty of options. That is all about the Balikbayan entry guidelines. Ooh, this reached almost 20 minutes. If this video was helpful, guys, please leave a like on the video. Share it to anyone who's planning on going home to the Philippines. This is really all about that you need to know. No, I'm pretty sure I've covered everything. So God bless you all, guys, and if you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. God bless you all and stay safe. Have a wonderful time in the Philippines. Don't be surprised if we're still wearing masks. As of November, mask is still heavily used in the country. Nagsusuot pa rin kami ng mask. And don't forget to bring mask for your flights to the Philippines because wearing of mask inside public transport is requirement. Yeah. So bring your mask. See you.